Welcome back to London. I hope you are well. As you know, I have already shared the first part of this story. If you haven't seen it yet, be sure to visit my channel and watch the first episode to understand the whole story better. Well, as you know, I am Sam and I study English. In this video, I want to tell you about my life and also about my wonderful teacher whom I met in London. You can read the text while watching the video and learn English with me. So, let's move on to part 2. Chapter 1. How can I learn grammar after school? I started my first day of work in the cafe where I worked. To be honest, I had no experience and I was a little stressed. But when I entered the cafe, I encountered a modern and cool cafe where they sell coffee, tea, chocolate cake and sandwiches. My boss was a 25-year-old woman who worked in that cafe for 2 years. He patiently taught me how to make coffee, wash dishes and treat customers. The first day was very difficult. To be honest, I only remembered about 20% of what he told me, but he allowed me to do things and helped me whenever I made a mistake. He was very polite and after the first day of work, I was able to learn a lot. The next day, which was Friday, I went to school again. One of the students asked an interesting question. He said that sometimes he is not sure if he uses his grammar correctly or not. Our teacher said, "Thank you for your question. Students can be divided into 2 groups. There are some who learn English to be able to speak and there are some who study English to take a special exam. For each of these groups, conditions are different. First, I'm talking about students who need English to speak. If you belong to this category, know that you don't need to focus too much on grammar. When you learn your mother tongue, without focusing on grammar specifically read it, you learned it. You too can learn English grammar naturally by using the language itself. The best way to learn grammar naturally is to read English books with good grammar. When you read, learn the grammar in the text of the whole sentence. You get it. I also recommend shadowing repeating sentences after the speaker. When you shadow, you naturally practice using correct grammar. You don't have to memorize anything. Just copy the sentences with correct grammar. If you need English to speak, but you also want to study grammar specifically, you can use the website Grammar in Levels. This website shows what grammar is important for different levels of English. In this website, you can find the most important grammar rules for speaking. The second group are students who study English to pass an exam. If you belong to this category, I recommend you to study specifically for that exam. If possible, you can use the previous year's exam versions and go with them. Practice. Of course, your exam may be slightly different, but usually the general structure is the same or very similar. In my opinion, past year's exam versions are good study material. Let's talk about my weekend and how to improve my pronunciation. This weekend, I worked on Saturday and I'm happy to report that I'm getting it. I actually enjoy interacting with customers. Even one of my classmates noticed the difference in the way I spoke. He said, "Wow, you sound so different. Your voice is so much clearer than last week. Your pronunciation is amazing." I smiled and thanked him. The truth is, I spent Saturday night and all of Sunday practicing a technique called shadowing. Basically, I tried to speak like a native speaker. I know it's still not perfect, but I can definitely hear a big improvement in my pronunciation. Our teacher then asked if anyone else had tried shadowing. 3 students. including a South Korean student, raised their hands. He seemed to enjoy the technique as well. One student said that after 5 minutes of shadowing, his mouth started to hurt, so he stopped. He also had a hard time keeping up with the recording because it was so fast. Our teacher assured her, "If your mouth hurts after 5 minutes of shadowing, that's actually a good sign. You're training your muscles for a new way of speaking. It's like speaking for the first time. You go to the gym. Your muscles might struggle," she continued. Shadowing isn't just about pronunciation. It also helps you practice intonation, rhythm, and word linking in full sentences. It may feel fast at first, but you can improve just by repeating the first or last word. Start each sentence. As you get more comfortable, you can repeat more and more. This conversation led to another question for me. I mentioned that I was using a website called Grammar in Levels to learn grammar. But I wasn't sure which level would be right for me because I don't know how many words I actually know. Interestingly, when the teacher asked the class how many English words we knew, no one had a clue. We all knew we were average learners, but the exact word count was a mystery. The teacher came to the rescue. He told us about a website called Test Languages that has a simple two-step test to estimate your vocabulary size. You can use it monthly to track your progress. He encouraged everyone to take the test right away. "I'm curious to know how many words I know," he admitted. "I took a test and found out that I know about 20,100 words. Most people in the class scored between 2,000 and 20,000 words. Only Monica and the South Korean student scored higher, with 2,500 words each," the teacher explained. "So, when you use Grammar in Levels, you should already understand grammar up to level 2. You can probably start with level 3 because it's designed for students who have between 2,000 and 3,000 words. They know. Don't be afraid of mistakes. Embrace progress. Here's how to speak fluent English. Let's talk about speaking English confidently, even with mistakes. I believe the key to mastery is constant practice through reading, speaking, and shadowing. It may sound basic, but in my experience, both as a teacher and as a language learner, it works wonders. When I speak, I prioritize getting my message across, even if it means making mistakes. Here's the secret. A 2-year-old child speaks their native language with many mistakes, but they keep practicing. By age 4, they are communicating effectively. You can do the same. Most of you probably know about 2,000 words. This is a great starting point. Do not be discouraged by mistakes. As you continue to use English, naturally the number will decrease. Remember, progress, not perfection, is the goal. Think of learning a language like learning an instrument. It takes practice. Expect some mistakes at first, but these are part of the learning journey. Hug them. Read a lot. Reading, especially out loud, improves fluency and reduces errors. Shadowing is your friend. Imitate a native speaker by repeating after audio recordings. It strengthens pronunciation and sentence structure. Focus on communication. When you speak, prioritize communication, not perfect grammar. Don't be discouraged by occasional mistakes. Even celebrities, CEOs and politicians make them. They focus on getting their message across. And so should you. Remember, consistent reading, Listening and speaking for just 30 minutes a day will significantly improve your fluency. This is the key food.
Thank you for your consideration. Like, share, and subscribe for more language learning tips.